Hello! Hi guys, welcome back to One Man's Junk. So just before we kick off folks, just a quick reminder, as always, if you're under the age of 18, I'm sorry to say this channel and the videos within it are not intended for your viewing pleasure. So if you are under the age of 18, please kindly switch off now. Thank you. Okie dokes. So it's the stuff of legends and the stuff of nightmares. I was at the flea market today and I ran into a lady and she just took out this tote here and have a little look. Nice little tote. She said she just went down to the basement and picked out a bunch of her kids' toys, and this was the first time she was pulling them out. Oh, quite heavy. Alright, so she was asking $1 per item. I seen there was quite a few items that I was interested in, so I just asked her how much for all, and she said $25. So hopefully we have at least 25 items worth picking up here. So let's have a little dig, see what we have, and then we'll tally it up right at the end. Nice. Alright, so finding a few accessories here, some G.I. Joe parts. Unfortunately, it's not looking as good as I hoped it would, but definitely some interesting stuff. See, a few micro machines. How about that? Vintage Star Wars, some G.I. Joe, Snoopy. Okay guys, so I've neatly arranged it here into basically piles of what I thought was worth salvaging. So you're gonna notice these guys here are pretty phallic looking, but I can in fact confirm that this is supposed to be a thumb. So what these do is they come with magnets at the bottom, or at least they're supposed to. There we go, here's one. And then they stick to the skateboard, and these are just like kind of like basically like, you know, like thumb skateboarders or what have you. This, believe it or not, is an actual Mattel Aladdin accessory, packaged of course with the Aladdin light from the 90s. We've got a bunch of hard plastic PVC figures here, so yeah, we've got some Disney here, Toy Story 2, Smurfs, Snoopy, Flintstones, we've even got the Jetsons, E.T. Now, the reason I quite like these figures is because you can pick them up and they can be quite filthy, like so. But for the most part, if you just give them a little soak in some hot soapy water, you can give them a good scrub down and they actually usually come out quite nice. So that's why I'm a big fan of these. We've got the Martian here, not sure of this guy's name here, of course with the Simpsons. These, I'm pretty sure these belong to a game, they're game pieces, but I'm not entirely sure the name of the game. If anybody knows the name of the game, by all means. We got some Z-Bots here, so I'm not that excited about these ones here because they're very common. You've probably seen them about a lot. The reason why these particular bots are so common as opposed to others within the series is because they were released as a Happy Meal Premium. So I think it was McDonald's, perhaps it was Burger King, but there was about 5 or 6 packaged, and that's why they're very easy to come by. And this here, I thought it was a Snork, but I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think this is just a straight up knockoff Smurf, so that's pretty cool. A Snork? A Snurf? Who knows? Alright, and let's have a look at some of my favorite stuff from this pickup here. So have a look at this nice little pile of Ninja Turtles accessories here. So that's from the head dropping Ninja Turtle. That's from a vehicle. That, believe it or not, is from Duncan Don. So that's the Donatello where he is Michael Jordan. That's a nice little pickup. That's Bebop's accessory here. These are great. So these, they may look familiar. Yep. If you're a Star Wars fan, these were packaged with a more modern Jabba the Hutt figure. And yes, those are the frogs that Jabba the Hutt likes to munch on. I guess so does Baby Yoda. We got these two guys here. So these are like spacemen, and they were released by Gay Toys. So here we go. Who, you know, like they did a lot of knockoffs here. They're basically very similar to Fisher Price Adventure people here. So it's kind of like same age, similar toy line. We got some G.I. Joes as well. Again, just some pieces. I did notice, I think this man's name is Bazooka, but he has a backpack here, and I didn't open it, so let's see what's in there. Oh, that was a little something, so not all bad. Got some lovely little micro machines here. So we got what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 micro machines, not bad. We've got a little Zoid. Mighty Max, of course. This is Blue Skull Mountain. That's Secret Wars blaster. I think for $25 we did not too bad at all. And we'll see if anybody wants the rest of that stuff over here. Maybe somebody at the flea or one of my buddies will want these cars, can do something with them. But alright, let's go back to the studio.
Grab a seat because I'm about to knock your socks off with my general finds. My first general find was these two fellas here. So nothing too crazy about them, nothing too spectacular. It is two cheap looking lizards. And if you're wondering why I picked them up, well, you might have guessed by now, yes, they do in fact glow in the dark, so they'll be going on my glow in the dark shelf. Then I picked up this fella here. So this is in fact a Remco Crystar Wizard. You're going to notice he's effectively naked, he's missing all the accessories, he's missing his cloak here, and of course even got loose limbs. However, he was in a dollar dig bin, so I certainly could not resist. I did manage to pick out Frankenstein and a Bride of Frankenstein. Now before you get too excited, it is in fact not the Remco vintage glow-in-the-dark Frankenstein. These are the more modern Super 7 reaction figures. So these figures are actually only 5 years old. Now, I may have mentioned Super 7's reaction figure before, reaction figure line before, but if I haven't, well, we're going to talk about it again just now. Basically, I love it. I think it's very underrated. What they do is they produce very affordable action figures. You may remember I picked up a Scareglow for $15, which I ripped open and proudly display on my shelf. But what they do as well is they produce action figures for franchises that perhaps didn't have an action figure or deserved an action figure. A great example of that would be some of the movies they've done, such as The Fifth Element or even Big Trouble in Little China. But the line keeps growing. I think it's great. It's very affordable. And I also think that it's got a future as well. I do think that a lot of those figures are going to grow in value because they are quite scarce. So we're going to just scratch the next item. No, I'm kidding. The next item is scratch it. So this here is actually really cool. It is a Hasbro Small Soldiers action figure, but you may not recognize it. The reason why is because, first of all, it was not in the movie, and more importantly, it wasn't actually released in a blister or with the action figures. It was released with the Power Drill Cycle. So this was a companion figure that came with one of the vehicles that was designed for the action figures. So definitely a cool little find. Alright, and you know how much I love my Masters of the Universe. You know how much I love Masters of the Universe knockoffs. So here's one from my collection, that's Baltard. Well, look what I found. I found a Madison wrestler. I think it's a world champion wrestler or championship wrestler. Whatever it is, he's really cool. He's really clean. He's in really nice condition. Nice paint. But best of all, you may notice, there you go, you see, they basically just use the same mold and just repaint it. So definitely a cool knockoff figure. And finally, guys, here's my last general find. He almost made it into the finds of the day just because he is pretty rare, pretty hard to come by. Just that I never really grew up on sumo wrestling, so I would be a bit of a lie if I said this was one of my favorite sports, per se. However, what we have here is Jack the Crusher. He was from 1986, released by Arco. There was only 3 sumo wrestlers within this line, but very well made. And of course, he is complete with his ceremonial garb. Not really sure what that's called, but certainly that's a very interesting find, and definitely one you won't see too often.
Welcome back to action figure identification. Okie dokes, we got 2 tricky ones to get us started. So I'll be completely honest with you, I haven't encountered these before, but I had a feeling they had a bit of age to them. And right enough, they are from the 90s. One belongs to a Megazord, and the other one belongs to a Thunderzord. So I'll have a picture up just now of who they belong to, but certainly 2 interesting looking pieces. Okay, so you might remember or recognize this one. So this one here, I was digging in a bin, and I actually happened to come upon the meat accessory here that we have gone over before. So that got me in that mind frame, and I was looking, and right enough I found the 2 other accessories which, believe it or not, I've never owned before. So of course this is from Hasbro Disney Dinosaurs, and the meat fellow accessory sidekick is very easy to spot. This one not so much. Have a look at that. It is just a yellow megaphone, but have a look at that lunchbox. How cool is that with the little dinosaur, some kind of creature trying to come out. So this one's really cool. I just picked this up, and funnily enough, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I'm going to take a wild stab. I'm going to say that it's actually Trendmaster's Alien Hunter, and the reason I'm saying that is because it's very similar to this one that I have picked up before. Okay, so this one's fairly easy. It is Transformers. It belongs to one of the dinosaurs, so it actually belongs to Slag. Now the same mold accessory was used for the G1 and G2 versions. When I picked this up, there was a loose G2 figure handy, so I'm going to assume that this one is the G2 because it's actually slightly off color compared to this one, which is in fact the G1 accessory. Sticking with Transformers, this is quite an obscure one, one you don't see too often. When I picked it up, I did suspect that it definitely had some age, but I thought that it may have belonged to the Star Wars Kenner line, but right enough, it is a Transformer accessory. It's for one of the Pretenders, so we'll have that for you right now. So staying with Transformers, here we have 2 accessories from Beast Wars. I guess that's G4 or G3? Yeah, somebody can correct me. But these actually belong to Silverbolt Fuzor, which is of course the eagle. So I picked up these 2 pieces in the same lot. I was digging through a bin, and I did come across these 2. Unfortunately, these were the only 2 that I found. The reason I say unfortunately is because they do actually belong to 2 mini playsets. So the red bridge here, that actually belongs to a Godzilla mini playset, so that's a really cool little piece. And the timber, or piece of plastic timber next to it, that actually belongs to a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles mini playset. Here's a piece that's very common. You've probably come across it before. You've not really cared for it because you probably assumed it was Chatmay. Well, it is not Chatmay. This is actually from the Aliens Kenner line, and it belongs to one of the Space Marines. So here's quite an interesting little piece. When I picked it up, I wrongly assumed that it belonged to Hasbro Stargate, or at least from some line from the 90s. I was almost right. It is from Hasbro. It's not from Stargate though, it's actually from G.I. Joe, and it actually belongs to a Static line. Okay, and here's some that you don't see too often. So pretty interesting looking pieces, pretty distinct, and I gotta tell you, pretty darn rare. They're pretty hard to pick up or to find in the wild, but I was lucky enough to do so. These in fact do belong to none other than Inhumanoids. Now this helmet here Actually a really cool accessory. You can see it reacts with the light shines through it. But it is very commonly picked up, and it's fairly difficult to identify unless you are very familiar with it.
It's that time again, guys. It's time for finds of the day. Alright guys, so kicking off here with my favorite finds of the last week is this. This is the Fire Mountain from the Gourmety line. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, wow, that looks so cool. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah. It does look really cool. I will say this. I do collect Gourmety, so I do have a big bunch of them. And I've been tracking this guy for a while. The reason why I'm a little down on it is just because I spent probably the best part of 30 minutes trying to find out where the batteries went in, to find out what kind of battery operated features it offers, and I'm sorry to say that the answer is none. Basically all that this offers is lots of spring loaded action, such as that, or even that, this kind of red thing poking. But the one that really tripped me up was this one here. There's this kind of mystery button where if you press it, nothing happens. I took it apart with a screwdriver and everything. I guess I probably should have just went online and researched it first, and I would have found that on the box it actually says spring-loaded action. So while it looks really cool and it's going to display great and it's going to be a great playset for my Gourmety, I'm sorry to say that it's only spring-loaded action, but still a great looking toy. Okay, so you may be aware of how much of a Toxic Crusaders, Toxic Avenger, Toxie fan I am. You may remember the other week I actually showed off my new badge that I bought. You might notice I have my cleanup time Toxie watch right here next to me at all times. So you can imagine how excited I was when I found this lovely Sota Toxic Avenger action figure. So as you can see here, this is of course a it is faithful to the movie, so it's more screen accurate than more cartoony Toxic Crusaders. He's wearing a lovely tutu as always, and he is missing the mop, unfortunately. He did have the mop head, which is great, but he was missing the mop. So when I went downstairs, I dug through my accessories and I did find this mop. Now it doesn't fit perfectly within his hands, but well, it's still a great accessory and still a great piece, so I'm very, very happy to add that to my collection. Alright, so I'm very excited and proud to present my next item. In fact, my next item would count as a Grail achieved or unlocked. You might remember back in episode 22, Pocket Power and Zooland, I mentioned that there was an item that I was looking to hunt down. Guys, I found it. It is in fact the Tommy Sega Pocket Power Glow Bones. How cool is this item? Even better, it is fully complete. I've been hunting these. I've been wanting to own one since I was a child. I've been hunting one for the last 2 years at a reasonable price, of course, and I'm so happy to say that I found one. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm kind of scared to play with it, even though I'm dying to play with it and add all the armor in, but it's just such a great looking piece. I'm really delighted to kind of finally own it, and I think I probably will cave and I'll end up playing with it anyway, well, setting it up anyway, but definitely just a spectacular find. Alright guys, I caved and I just ended up playing with it. Good news is I didn't break it, and even better news is I'm even more delighted with this. It is such a great little action figure here. Of course, you know, it's portable, folds in your pocket. It's got lots of great little accessories. It's a skeleton. It's got nice little points of articulation, and best of all, it glows in the dark. So that is easily my favorite find from the last few weeks. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, or preferably just share the video so we can get up to maybe 2,000 subscribers. If you have any questions about action figures or even action figure accessories, by all means, my inbox is always open. Just send me a message. Thanks again. Thank you. Bye now. Bye.